give it up for our host, Kaitlyn. I'm Kara Fisher, and my therapist says I need healthier coping mechanisms. So I started running, and I hate it. I don't get how people find it so relaxing. If anyone has ever told you that they've had runner's high, they're either a liar or they have never been fucking high before. And one day I'm at my run and I see this old woman flailing out of her house and she's like, everything in my house just shook. Now I love the elderly community, but I'm not gonna let this old hack talk to me like that. So I told her, you better go change your diaper, and then kicked over her garden gnome. And a few hours later, the weed did wear off, and there was an earthquake. So I stopped running. Better safe than sorry. So I am in therapy. I do lots of therapy. I go twice a week to talk therapy and EMDR, and I feel like EMDR is lesser known, so I'm going to tell you the difference between the two. Talk therapy is like the Hogwarts Express. You get on at platform 9 3/4, you know exactly where you're going, you see your friends, ask about their summers, you're eating birdie bots, chocolate frogs. It is a smooth, comfy ride to Hogwarts. EMDR is more experiential, like a port key. So you don't know where you're going to start, and you don't know where you're going to end. It's this brief, harrowing, mind-bending journey, and afterwards you have really no recollection of what just happened, but you have uncovered dark truths. And now you know why Professor Snape picked you up from preschool instead of your mom. It's a little Lumos for little Kara. I like to use cutesy code words to make others feel comfortable. Instead of feeling depressed, I say I'm feeling dispresso. When I disassociate, it's just a little visit to the void. And instead of suicidal ideation, I say Final Fantasy. Because some people, Dad, believe that mental health is a choice, and they'll say things like, well, you always look so miserable, or you used to be such a happy baby. I have bipolar depression, and it's not like I schedule my whole day around my visits to the void, like wake up, categorize my nightmare by trauma, wonder whether my nightmare medication is a placebo, head downstairs, have a double shot of espresso, and then journal to avoid playing Final Fantasy. I'm so happy it's October. Who else loves October? You know, because September is just the worst. It's like summer's ending, back to school, 9/11. I was in 5th grade when 9/11 happened, and I remember that day. But I also remember a few weeks later when I saw a plane flying outside my classroom. And I thought it would be a really good idea to say, I hope that plane doesn't crash. Yeah, I was in a lot of trouble that day. My joke didn't land well. My mom recently retired, and she sent me and my siblings a video of her retirement speech. And in this video, she was crying and telling her employees how much she loved them and how proud of them she is of their perseverance and how they come together to defeat the odds. And while I was watching this video, I just had my eyes closed. I was picturing her saying this to me and my brother and my sister, and it was very healing. My mom never cries at my performance reviews. So I think for Christmas this year, I'll use AI to generate the videos with my siblings' names in them, and it'll just be our little holiday trauma bond stocking stuffer. My mom is a very hard worker. She would always tell me how she graduated college in 3 years, and really anything is possible when your study buddy is cocaine. I'm gonna do a few impressions. This is my impression of Mickey Mouse. This is my impression of Owen Wilson. Wow. And this is my impression of Celine Dion. Sorry, that one was like a little beat. So my nephew does this super adorable thing where he mixes up his pronouns. Instead of saying I, he says you. And it's super cute, but it's also super manipulative. He'll say things like, you want go to park? Or you want hibachi? And you know what? I do want to go to the park. And I do want hibachi. He's barely 3 and he's already mastered reverse psychology. So Polish people are built different, and I would know this because I am married to one. And to give you an example, we went to the beach the other day, and I sat in my chair, I ate some snacks, I looked for shells. My husband, he got into 2 altercations, both with a seagull, but not the same seagull. And I counted at least 5 times where he was bleeding. It's like I spent the day in Oahu, and he spent the day in Pearl Harbor. It was a perfect day had by both. My husband actually started a side hustle, but he hasn't made any money yet. He spends several hours a day playing Power Wash Simulator. He's really cornering the market. And when that first paycheck comes in, I think we're going to put a down payment on a Sims mansion. There's an epidemic of serial killer content, and it's creating sleeper cells of serial killers. And if there's ever an onslaught of prolific murders, the first suspect should be suburban moms. And the evidence is their Netflix watch list. You know, motherhood must be pretty scary if that's how you need to unwind. The only mystery is which cul-de-sac is the next miniseries. And we should all be very grateful to the algorithm for keeping their murderous rage at bay. So thank you, algorithm. I'm a terrible driver, but I'm not as terrible as my older sister. When she got her license, she had to forfeit it 3 months later because she got into 3 accidents, 2 of them involving the same ditch. And the state forced her to take defensive driving courses. How do you defend yourself against a ditch? It's really the ditches that need defending, and for as little as $2 a day, you can support DABT, Ditches Against Bad Drivers. The other day I got a call from my bank, and they said there was fraudulent activity on my account. And I talked to Mark, the manager, for 3 hours. And I should have known something was wrong because I don't have any money to steal. And it was a little weird when he began asking me for my height and weight. He also sent me a verification code, and he said to tell him that, but the code came with a message that said, your bank will never ask for this, and don't tell this to anybody. And so I did tell him, because like 3 hours in, he was pretty convincing. Turns out Mark is not a manager, and I got scammed. And he doesn't work at Wells Fargo, but he is getting Employee of the Month somewhere. I came home the other day and my husband was whittling. It's been several weeks and he has not stopped. So starting to get a little worried and began looking up information or a hotline I could call. There's 1-800-NEED-HIM to find Jesus, but I think his carpenter background would make things worse. And I don't know if he's having like a crisis or preparing for something. He does work in a jail, and Google did say that the person most likely to murder me is my husband. So I'm telling all of you this, just in case I go missing, someone can tell the cops to check the artisan canoe. It's election year. It's election year, and I know who I'm voting for. He's a successful business owner. He's defended our country against an invasion of illegal aliens. And he has previous presidential experience, which makes him the best fit for the job. And that is why I write in Jack Nicholson every single time. So some fears are irrational, like dying, sharks, sure. Other fears can be irrational. I have an irrational fear of the boogeyman, which makes sense because it was instilled in me as a child. If I were to misbehave, be out late, live on the first floor of an apartment building, I was an easy target. My husband even made me a boogeyman stick that I keep by the bed, and I'm in my 30s. Another irrational fear I have is mind control slugs. If you're familiar with Animorphs, you know what I'm talking about. Yeah, don't say it out loud. Okay, let's just include any bugs entering any orifices. I don't trust scarabs or Brendan Fraser for that matter. Lastly, sinkholes. What the hell are sinkholes? Like suddenly the Earth's just gone and you're on your way to its core? More people should be afraid of sinkholes. One just almost swallowed an entire high school football team. Like imagine you're running through the park, headphones on, sativa kicking in. And for the first time in your life, you think, wow, I have finally reached runner's high. But really, the earth surrounding you has just opened up and you are free falling for, I assume, eternity. Just sucked into Earth's butthole. And that's another reason why I stopped running. Thank you, I'm Catherine.